Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Let's get a quick handle of how the SGX is trading at this point in time, and it's indicating that it is going to be a positive start for us. So the SGX is up 0.4%. Remember, besides the election queue, we also have a good steady Asian market to reckon with today. For example, the Nikkei is up around 1%. So that incremental amount of support is really coming through for us from the global space. But like I mentioned, the big queue today has to be the election verdict. Let's get in some opinion from global and domestic experts on the impact of the Gujarat elections on the market and how much of it is probably already factored in.
The key issue as far as foreign investors is concerned is the continuity. And that's what the Gujarat election result would imply. And markets, foreign investors generally like simple, predictable stories, and continuity is what comes out of this election. So in general, that's going to be supportive for flows into India from foreign investors.
Politics tends to have a short-term impact on the markets, and longer term, it's the companies that you invest in rather than the political. Having said that, I suppose in a perverse sort of way, it would have been quite good if there was a shock. And the reason for that was not because I'm either a supporter of the BJP or Congress, is it would have probably led to a market correction, and it would probably led to some stocks coming back to better valuation, which would have given us a better opportunity to add to our positions. If they do well, as the polls indicate, I think certainly the people who've been sitting on their sidelines with cash, and really I mean domestic mutual funds more than anyone else, I think they'll take that as a good green light to add to their positions in the market at this point in time.
This is generally a positive thing that you're getting continuity with the governments from one state to another. Eventually the Rajya Sabha majority will also happen. But I don't think this is really a game changer, that this is something that the market's waiting for and everything will fly from here.
As the exit polls indicate that the BJP might win, this is probably in line with what everybody was banking on anyway. So I do not think that this is going to cause any sort of a major trend reversal or differentiation of the Indian market from EM just yet.
Well, the 47-year-old descendant of the Gandhi family, Rahul Gandhi, has taken over as a Congress chief. He was elected as the president as his nomination remained unchallenged. With 89 nominations in his favor, Rahul succeeds his mother, Sonia Gandhi, who remained in the post for the past 19 years. But his promotion has come at a very turbulent time. Even after grueling campaigning in Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh, all exit polls have predicted the Congress losing to the BJP by a large margin in both the states. Here are some highlights from Rahul Gandhi's coronation event.
The Congress took India into the 21st century, while the Prime Minister today is taking us backwards to a medieval past where people are butchered because of who they are, beaten for what they believe, and killed for what they eat. This ugly violence shames us in the world. Our country, whose philosophy and history is born out of love and compassion, is tarnished by such horror, and no amount of hugs can repair the damage done to this great country of ours. Many of us are disillusioned today by the politics of our times, because what we see before us is a politics devoid of kindness and truth. Politics belongs to the people. It is their greatest weapon in dismantling the structures that oppress, silence, and disempower them. But today, politics is not being used in the service of the people. It is being used to crush them, not to lift them up. We are now being compelled to imagine that businesses can be built without harmony, that only one man himself is the voice of reason, that expertise, experience, and knowledge can be cast aside for personal glory, that it is acceptable for our foreign policy to lie in tatters so that one man can feel strong, and that everything is in fact subservient to the leader's personal image.
मुझे उसकी सहनशीलता और दृढ़ता पर गर्व है और मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि राहुल पार्टी के नेतृत्व सच्चे दिल, धैर्य और पूर्ण समर्थन के साथ करेंगे.
Rahul ji, you have traveled all over the country. You know these problems firsthand as nobody else knows, and we therefore trust that under your distinguished leadership, our party will scale new heights of glory.
Now, the GST Council held an urgent meeting on Saturday, and in an important development, the Council has decided on early rollout of the e-way bill. Timsi Jaipuria reports on the same.
Well, that's right. The GST Council has decided a staggered manner rollout of e-way bill, and under this phased manner rollout, the facility of e-way bill for trial runs will be available from 15th of January. On the other hand, for movement of goods, which is interstate movement of goods, uniform e-way bill will be mandatory for all states from 1st of February, and for interstate movement of goods, this uniform e-way bill will be mandatory from 1st of June. Now, government feels that this slow transition, first for interstate and then for intrastate, will give enough time for the states officers and for the traders to transition to a uniform e-way bill. Remember, a uniform e-way bill was an outstanding demand of the traders. Traders have been highlighting a lot of issues related to movement of goods because they were not seeing seamless movement of goods, which was a main criteria of getting in GST into the system. So from 1st of June 2018, there will be seamless movement of goods from one state to the other on one uniform e-way bill. Back to you.
Okay, all right, thanks for that. But moving on to a CNBC TV18 exclusive, sources tell us that the government will be seeking Parliament nod for a PSB or a public sector bank recapitalization plan. Let's go to Sapna Das for all of the details. Sapna, over to you.
Sometime in the coming week, the Finance Ministry, IFM, will seek Parliament's nod for the second supplementary demand for grants, out of which, of course, the PSB recap is a major item to watch out for. So basically, what they have to do is that even if the recap bonds are going to be cash neutral, the fact remains that somewhere they have to get it accounted in the government accounts. So a budgetary space will have to be created for the same. Hence, they're going to seek the Parliament's nod for the first tranche of the recap bonds, and we understand that the quantum may be anywhere in the range of 70,000 crores plus. Now, we had reported this on also, but just a kind of a reiteration, though of course top government officials are not really talking on the quantum as such. So that's the first thing. Second, we had also understood that probably some part of the Indradhanush projection that of the next financial year of 10,000 odd crores, government may also seek an additional supplementary for that in terms of the additional net cash outgo, because they already have 10,000 in the current budget in this year, for which no approval is required. But if any additionality is there, then that will be a net cash outgo. So there's a possibility of that as well. So keeping these two aspects in mind, coming back to the recap issue, well, here they're also very clear that this is going to be a formality in terms of seeking the Parliament nod. The amount will be announced in the supplementary, but the contours of the bonds, in the sense who will be the subscribers, what is the tenure of the bonds, what is the coupon rates, whether they'll carry an SLR status or no, all that has yet to be decided probably and yet to be announced. So that announcement will only come later, the actual nitty-gritty. Last but not least, we very clearly, top government officials have indicated that it may be possible that not all PSBs will form, in the first tranche of the issuance of the bonds, not all of them will get the capital infusion, and this is going to be completely performance-linked.
Well, let's get talking about the commodity and the currency space now. Manisha Gupta joins in to tell us what she's watching from there. Manisha, morning.
Hi, morning, and thank you so much for that. Well, it is an amazing start, actually, when you look at the metals as a space. On Friday, we saw nearly 1 to 3% of gains come in, and that's exactly where Asia has picked it from. Well, the Chinese data has been positive, and that has been supportive. So you have the aluminum prices up by 1%. You have iron ore prices up 3%. Copper prices are trading at a 3-week high. You also have the zinc prices trading at a 3-week high. So it's a good start when it comes to Asia, especially for the metals as a sector, especially for copper, where we are closing this year with 25% of an outperformance apart from other metals. So good going is what we are seeing, picking up on the lower side here. The weakness in US dollar also has been supportive. On the other side, the crude oil price is really trading flat in the morning right now. These markets would continue to watch out for further data as the volumes continue to thin. The U.S. rig count has increased in the previous week as well. You also have seen production increase by 15% from the beginning of this year, and that is what is weighing onto the market. But the North Sea pipeline is still shut. There are still supply concerns in the UK market, and that is what is keeping the crude oil prices above $62 per barrel. Markets also would want to watch out for the tax reforms. The expectation is that this week you might see a passage of that come in, because from next week onwards, it would be Christmas and New Year holidays, and you wouldn't see much of volume or work being done in the Western world. So that's yet another thing which is keeping the equity and the industrial commodity markets on the higher side.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Manisha. Well, let's focus on a couple of stocks then. Future Supply Chain, the logistics arm of the Future Group, will make its Dalal Street debut today. Mangalam joins in to tell us what to expect in terms of a listing. Hey, Mangalam, morning.
Good morning, Nigel. So, the Future Supply Chain logistics arm, which had a 650 crore IPO, which was basically an offer for sale by SSG Capital as well as the promoters. Now that stock is finally listing today. The issue was oversubscribed by virtue of the qualified institutional placement guys as well as the HNIs. They subscribed to it about 11 times. Not much in terms of retail participation, just about 3 times oversubscription there. The grey market premium suggests what, a 30-40 rupee uptick as against the issue price of 664 rupees. And that may be a little higher given the texture of the market in today's trading session as well. And the lower end, we're seeing some support at the 636 level mark, because that is where pre-IPO SSG Capital had sold that stake. So we'll watch out for that. The higher end at 700 rupees, remember the company trades at 31 times FY19 valuations. Remember that most of the street is working with 90 to 100 crore net profit on an FY19 basis, given the sort of capex that they've done in this year itself. FY17, for instance, the net profit was 46 crores. The first half itself has been 33 crore itself. In terms of valuations, at 664, the company was offered at 30 times FY19 valuations, which are pretty much in line with what the previous peer Mahindra Logistics was offered at. But given the kind of valuations that the other logistic companies, the likes of Transport Corp, VRL, Gati trade at, it could be a little higher. But remember, Future Supply has the highest margins in the industry. They have a significant presence in the third-party logistics. That Mehan unit is fairly good as well. The only two concerns: first, majority of the revenues come from group companies itself. The last 2 years, we saw the revenues increase from 50% to about 70% from the Future Group companies. So that is something we have to watch out for. Secondly, the working capital is slightly stretched, though it has been declining. Remember, the management has said they are targeting that 45-day working capital. As of H1 FY18, it's 82 days. So that's something that we'll have to watch out for.
Okay, and Mangalam, you're also spotting some cues from the F&O space. Take us through that.
That's right, Ekta. You know, so ahead of the big Gujarat event, we saw a lot of unwinding in the F&O space. Remember, the FIs, they've been consistently selling in the cash market. In Friday's trading session as well, we saw that 921 crore cash market sale coming in. That tells you that there was a lot of short covering that propped the markets higher, primarily because the net institutional flows was lower by about 300 odd crore rupees. So in index futures, there was unwinding both by longs as well as shorts. So one gets the feeling that, you know, the longs may have unwound because they saw a 200-point rally from Thursday's low itself. So thought of taking some profits home ahead of the event. And shorts, well, the sort of 200-point rally that we saw and the kind of opening that the SGX Nifty is indicating, the shorts perhaps felt a little jittery and ran for cover there as well. What was actually interesting was the sort of downside protection that was sought. Because if you take a look at it, 300 crore worth purchase in index options, and the FIIs, they went ahead and bought nearly 23,000 long contracts in in index puts. So that is something we need to watch out for. And add to that, we saw some writing in index calls as well, giving you an indication that maybe there could be some bit of a hurdle on the upside. Though, if we do sustain above that, there is a strong case for further short covering. In terms of stocks, rather in terms of active strikes, 10,300 put was the most active. We saw a lot of writing there, and the 10,300 call writers, they felt a little jittery, covered some positions. The 10,200 put as well saw some bit of writing, much support at the slightly lower end. The 10,700 call, that one saw some open interest flare, maybe a lot of people taking a short punt for about 14 rupees a pop out there for an upside. So those are things we'll be watching out for in terms of stocks. Definitely watch out for Wockhardt Pharma. That one enters the F&O band today.
Okay, Mangalam, thanks so much for that. Well, let's get you some picks coming in from our bullseye contestants. Then this week we have Vijay Chopra, Gaurav, as well as Vishal Malkan. They're battling out for the strongest portfolio. Let's hear out what they've picked for today.
My first call is a buy call on Jet Airways. The closing price of the stock was 707 rupees. It could be bought for a target of 725, and a stop loss of 680 should be strictly kept on the stock. My second call would be a buy call on IRB. The closing price of the stock was 215 rupees. It could be bought for an intraday target of 222, and a stop loss of 208 should be kept on the stock. My third call is a buy call on VB Metal Labs. The closing price of the stock was 111 rupees. It could be bought for an intraday target of 117, and a stop loss of 106 should be kept on the stock. My final call would be again a buy call on L&T Finance Holdings. The closing price of the stock was 168. It could be bought for a target of 175, and a stop loss of 162 should be strictly kept on the stock.
I have a buy call on Delta Corp, stop loss 254 and target 272.40. Next one is a buy call on Jet Airways. Stop loss has been kept at 687 and target at 733. The third one is on the short side, that is Marico Futures. Stop loss 314.20 and target 294.20. The last one is also on the short side, that is Exide Industries Futures. Stop loss 210.30 and target 196.50.
Okay, and Vishal Malkan's first pick is a buy call on Bata with a target of 765, stop loss at 725. Second pick is a call on Sri Ram Transport with a target of 1460 and a stop loss at 1380. And his third pick is also a buy call on Hexaware with a target of 350, stop loss at 314. And his last pick is also a buy with on DHFL with a target of 625, stop loss at 583.